American Pastoral, directed by Ewan McGregor, getting behind the camera, and adapted from a novel by Philip Roth. I have to say at the beginning of this that American Pastoral has not been... What's making that weird noise?
It's my collapsing chair.
Oh, okay, fine. American Pastoral has not been warmly received by some critics. So... the story is basically, it plays out in flashback. We get character comes to a school reunion where he meets the brother of the person who, when he was at school, was absolutely the bee's knees, the sort of the football star who was going to be the greatest thing ever. Seymour Sweet-Levov, played by Ewan McGregor, and the brother then says, "Oh, so you don't know what happened to him?" And he says, no. He says, okay, well, I'll tell you what happens. And they sit down on the bench, and it's a kind of creaky device. I'll tell you what happens, here's the story. And we then flash back to the story of Ewan McGregor as the Swede, who is this, absolute, when he's at school, kind of school hero and war hero, and then marries a beauty queen, played rather brilliantly, I have to say, by Jennifer Connelly. They then start a family, and everything looks like they have... I think the phrase is that life appeared to open up its arms and to embrace them. But then we get into the era of Vietnam and of protest, and their daughter, who has had something of a sort of troubled childhood, has wrestled with a stutter, which they are told at one point might be a reaction to the fact that they appear to be impossible to live up to, becomes very, very angry as a teenager and involved in anti-war protests and in counterculture and in basically hating everything for which her parents stand. Ewan McGregor's character thinks that he's going to lose her, and so suggests a way in which she can be rebellious at home.
You want to protest the war? Protest it right here in Old Rimrock.
What am I going to do, march around the post office?
Bring the war home, isn't that the slogan? Look, they gave me this award. It's just a stupid plaque, but it means one thing. If you take a stand, people notice. If you oppose the war right here, with all your strength, this is part of America too, you know.
Read Marx. Revolutions don't begin in the countryside.
We're not talking about revolution.
You're not talking about revolution.
You think about what I'm saying.
So then what happens is that relationships between parent and child become more and more strained, become more and more distant. The mother keeps asking, who is she? Who is this person that we have raised? And things then take a much darker turn. I know a lot of people will know this story because they will know the Philip Roth novel, but, just enough to be said that things take a very, very dark turn. And it is about the way in which the family then starts to implode around them. Now, my feeling about it was this. I'm not a huge fan of the author, and many of the people who have reviewed the film have said that it's, what Ewan McGregor has attempted to do is to attack a text which is bigger than he can possibly handle and bigger than he can possibly deal with. And I understand that if you had a great reverence for Philip Roth, you might well feel that way. Speaking as somebody who doesn't have that reverence, I think that what McGregor has done is to take on a difficult, a complex, and frankly, troublesome text that contains elements of things which I do find problematic, and have at least a solid bash at putting it on the screen. And if there's a flaw in the film, it's that it aims perhaps too high, but I would rather see somebody attempting to do something with genuine ambition and failing than see them attempting to do something that's just sort of boring and formulaic. The stuff that I found touching about the film, firstly, I thought it was actually fairly well put together structurally. A lot of people have disagreed with this, but I did think that structurally the story made sense. I mean, there is that sort of Forrest Gump element of a character going through, epochal upheavals in the American life and responding to them as they happen. Secondly, I thought that the performances were pretty solid. Ewan McGregor and Jennifer Connelly are terrific as the couple who we see go from essentially just, post high school through these, changing parts of their life. And I think do it really, really, really well. Jennifer Connelly particularly, I think, as the former beauty queen who wants to be seen as more than that, but has somehow become a trophy wife and has found herself trapped in a life that she doesn't understand, is really terrific. I mean, I've always been a great admirer of her as an actor. I think she's often underrated. And I think that what she does here, working with difficult material, is that she manages to invest it with a degree of, of truth and believability, even as occasionally the narrative strays well off that path. Great as well to see Peter Reigert as the father, who is sort of, gruff and initially appears to be difficult and awkward, but actually is, somebody for whom family comes first. And as the narrative becomes more outlandish and outrageous and goes into, sort of Patty Hearst territory and starts picking apart and all that stuff at the end of the 60s, and as it starts to lose its way, it's those performances that you come back to as the thing which holds it together. So, although I understand that fans of the novel have been disappointed by it, and although I think that there is merit in the claim that it does attempt to tell a story which perhaps is beyond the scope of it, I think it is an admirable attempt I think that the problems that I have with it are actually problems with the original narrative, and I think hats off to McGregor for aiming high. As I said, I would rather see somebody aim high and not quite make it than see somebody just coast and be safe and boring.